Well, guys, just about a year ago, most of the area that I'm walking through today was underwater, either from Hurricane Helene or Hurricane Milton. I'm, of course, in Punta Gorda Isles here today. And I want to talk about, in that year's time, what has changed as far as real estate sales that protect buyers from knowing when a property has been flooded. We'll get into that. Some slight changes here. I think more should be done. Also, if you guys have been paying attention to my posts, you know that people with sub 4% mortgage rates are on the move. And what they're doing to come out of those rates is very interesting, mostly speculative stuff right now. But we're going to go over that as well. And how are builders now responding to this changing market? And what are they doing now that their prices have declined to such an extent? As you guys know, Lennar, as I reported recently, saw their average home sale price drop 22% from the peak. So that's a big cut. We'll see how that's affecting them. Going to kick it off with the flood disclosures. After this happened last year, after we were inundated with Helene and Milton and other areas got hit by Hurricane Debbie and flooded as well, the Florida state passed a new disclosure requiring sellers to advise buyers if they had ever filed a flood claim. Now, the way that was worded never indicated if the house was flooded. It just indicated that there was a flood claim. So you can see where that might be ripe for abuse or, kind of misleading the way they answer that. They have now updated the new flood disclosure, and it requires the seller, as of October 1st, to disclose if they have any knowledge of the home flooding ever. So that's going to be interesting. I feel like it's a little too late because we haven't had a hurricane yet this season. So most likely all the flood damaged homes have been sold over the past year. Would have liked to see that in there last season, but it's better than not happening. It's also a little bit of a redundancy. We do have a seller's disclosure that is highly recommended to be filled out. In Florida, sellers are required to disclose any material effects that may affect the property, material defects, things like that. But sometimes they don't get filled out, especially if it's an investor property who says, I've never lived there, I have no knowledge. Well, okay, who pays the bills when the repairs come in? So I always thought that's kind of weird. There is an area on that disclosure to specify if water intrusion has ever affected the home. Now, I would hope that's where they would disclose any flooding, but with the new flood disclosure that just came out, there's no way for them to avoid that. That is going to be required prior to signing any contract, even more so than a general seller's disclosure is. So I think it's better. I think it's a case of, well, it's better than never. That's where I'll stand on that. It's better now. It should have been here earlier, but going forward, sellers are going to have to disclose any sort of flooding knowledge that they have on the property, not just if they filed a claim. Now, there's also a lot of talk about homeowners with sub 4% mortgages being on the move, breaking the golden handcuffs, going into higher mortgages. They're not waiting anymore. Not necessarily sure that's true. I posted a chart the other day from Reventure showing basically the convergence of people with 3% mortgages and people with 6% mortgages almost being equal now. And I was talking to my buddy, Anthony, about it. You guys might have seen him on the channel before, former mortgage broker back in the day. And he had a really great point. He said, I don't think this is necessarily people leaving a sub 3% mortgage and buying a house at 6. He goes, I think this is consolidation. I think this is people tapping the equity and potentially paying off these credit cards, paying off these cars they can't afford because everything else is crushing them. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, man? Red truck. Say hi in the comments. Let me know who you were. If that's even someone who watches the channel. Maybe it's just some guy who wanted to say hi. That happens some ways too. But yeah, back on track. So that was my buddy's thought on it. It's refis and cash outs. I mean, take a look at it here, guys, again. What do you think is happening here? Do you think this is more likely that people are just purchasing homes at higher interest rates, or that they're using this to consolidate other debt? Let me know in the comments below. Now, Realtor.com did put an article out stating that between the first and second quarters of 2025, people with 3% mortgages went back to historic lows. So the same amount of people had 3% mortgages now as they did before the pandemic. But that was only a 0.3% drop at the end of the day. So nothing crazy. How we doing, guys?
Hey, what you doing, bro?
Just shooting a YouTube video.
What's up, YouTube?
What's up, man?
CMR in the house, baby.
CMR Construction Roofing, guys. Check them out. Everybody's out here. Everybody wants to say hi today. I love it. I love it. I don't usually... 2 in a row. All right. Ooh, we got an open house. Oh, should I crash it? I don't know. I might crash it. I might do it. So anyway, back on topic. The article here basically says people with sub 3% mortgages, the share of homeowners with sub 3% mortgages is down from 20.7 to 20.4%. So starting to wonder if my buddy's right there. Now, they do go on to say in the next tier of rates, between 3 and 4%, there's an even sharper decline. So, but that's only 32.7 down to 32.1%. So I think we're kind of stretching here, guys. A little too early for that. But I did think it was interesting that the percentage of mortgage holders with mortgages above 6 currently sits at 20%. So I'll link this in the description if you guys want to dive into it. It's basically what that chart was showing according to their data. The share of mortgage holders with 3% rates is the same currently as those with 6. And they do mention that a half-point rate reduction could potentially save buyers up to $178 a month, $2,000 a year. That's not really anything to scoff at. And we've seen more than that happen naturally recently. So normally I am like, oh, half a point, but $2,000 at the end of the year, that's kind of a big deal. They're talking about handing out $2,000 again here shortly. So we will see how that goes. But still, guys, at the end of the day, 80% of outstanding mortgages are currently under 6%. According to them, 70.4 are under 5%. So while some of those numbers are converging, that's still a lot of people under 5. I mean, 70.4%. So how are they saying builders are reacting to this? Well, they're saying they're building smaller homes. They're putting price tags on smaller homes, and I am seeing that happen. I'm seeing a lot of builders around here do that. In fact, I was looking through Christopher Allen Homes for somebody. Couldn't find any of the 2,000, 1,800 square foot models that they used to build. Looks like they're just going smaller. Even in Westport, the second phase of the Cove there, mostly everything there is going to be between 1,300 and 1,700 square feet. What I saw on their website was price points starting at like $275. So that seems to be the move, is we're going to give incentives, we're going to lower prices, and we're going to build smaller houses to make it happen. Now, in one of my previous videos, I showed that sales had kind of picked up here in August big time. I think September is going to echo that as well. Pending sales, guys, not closed. New homes under contract. And somebody in the comments said, well, yeah, because it's 50 to 75% of all homes being sold across the country are being purchased by investors. And I just felt like I had to address, where are you getting those numbers? That seems extremely high, especially when most investors have pulled out of a lot of markets. We know that. We know there's been a huge investor pullback, which has helped the inventory explosion and the price softening. So I don't know where that idea was coming from. I've sold approximately 30-something houses this year, and 2 of them people intended to rent out when they weren't using them. But out of 30 sales, I haven't personally seen an investor, and the ones that have called me have told me the numbers don't work. So I don't think it's all investors jumping back in. Maybe I'm wrong. The rental market is still super saturated, so I can't see that being the case. But if you're seeing it in your area, let me know in the comments. I also can't see right now an appreciation play, but I don't know. I'm just one man. And I share a lot of anecdotal data with what I see on the ground. That's kind of one of the points of all these walks. So it's just what I'm seeing. It could be completely different for other agents. It could be completely different for other companies. But from what I'm hearing from coworkers, from title agents, from inspectors. They're all pretty busy. So I think this may continue here through October. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. Shout out to CMR Roofers for saying what's up over there. Don't work with them. Just cool guys who said hello. So if you like this video, give me a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.